Hey everybody, it's Eddie J for GrowMyBag.tv. I hope you're having a good one. What's good, what's good, what's good? So, when I do shows on Saturdays, there's not going to be a script. There's not going to be a long list of articles. It's most likely going to be a topic that I'm, very familiar with. And this week, as it has been for a couple of times, it's about AI, or artificial intelligence, and automation. Now, today's poll question is, what is your level of knowledge of AI? I've used it a little bit. I use it a lot for personal needs. I use it a little for work, and I need to learn. Now, what's interesting is, it's either I use it a lot for personal needs. Max Salas in the house. What's going on? Invested in hurdling. That's Oldly. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. Also, don't be afraid to ask questions. That's what this whole show today is all about. It's about asking questions. So I've only used it a little bit. Use it a lot for personal needs. I use it a little for work, and I need to learn. Those are the questions tonight. Some might ask, for a channel that is all about investing, right? Learning how to invest, helping to develop our individual styles of investment, right? And, obviously getting the news so that we can understand what's going on around the world that could possibly affect our bags. Well, right now, the number one thing in business that's going to affect your bags, outside of things like that, but I mean affect you directly, is going to be the advent, or is the advent of artificial intelligence, its pairing with automation and robotics. Now, some of you might think, why is that so crazy? For those that are asking that question, do me a favor, go watch last week's show on Saturday. On that show, I walked through a lot of different careers and the effect of AI and the rest of those technologies on those careers. From office work to people out in the field, drivers. Some people might look at it as, wow, that's not going to affect farm workers, all the way down to the farm worker. All the way down to the machine or factory worker, all the way down to the warehouse worker, all the way up to the attorneys and CPAs. People wonder how they're going to be affected indirectly and directly by artificial intelligence. And I'd like to have that conversation with you with regard to how are you using it, okay? A lot of people will get out there and they'll ask it simple questions and they'll just accept the answer. There are two things wrong with that. The first one is going to be, did you ask it the right question? That's a deep conversation. Second one is, why are you just accepting that answer? That one is actually the deeper conversation. Okay? Let's talk about, how do you ask it questions? Why do you ask it questions? To understand what you're doing, let's give it a baseline, right? The baseline is going to be, first, to understand that the term artificial intelligence was coined in 1956, and it's a misnomer, okay? AI is not actually intelligent. Now, some people are thinking, Eddie, what the hell is wrong with you? It's not intelligent. Intelligence means I think, therefore I am. First time I heard that, my stepfather said it to me. He's actually a smart guy. We don't get along, but he's a smart guy. And he's a smart enough guy to understand that I think, therefore I am. But that's not enough. It's not enough just to think. It's to know how to think. Now, that one right there, that point right there is the differentiator. AI is actually just a fantastic algorithm that tells the computer or gives the computer the most probable next letter or next token. Each letter compares to a token, and the number of tokens will tell you the letter, and boom, there you go. Now, most of you who have not used AI a lot probably haven't run into this, but those that are using AI a lot, that perhaps do a lot of reading, perhaps do their own research, will notice that sometimes you will see phrases from AI that seem familiar. There's a reason for that. You know how they say that AI is trained? Well, AI trains from all of the information created by man. And now, because it's already been trained on the information provided by man, it's now also learning from the information provided by the spectrum of AI agents that are out there, or LLMs, large language models. That training enables it to be able to figure out, oh, so that's probably the next word, that because based on everything that I know, that word normally, like X percentage of time, comes after that word, you move on. René Descartes, thank you. That's the person that coined that phrase. So that was a good catch. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So the idea is that when you're having a chat with AI, you're having a chat with an algorithm, not a person, not a thinking being, an algorithm. Please and thank you. That can be built into the algorithm and say, oh, okay, this person is nice, or this user is nice or not nice, educated, not educated, whatever it is. Carry on that conversation, that chat session for a long time, and AI starts to slowly flip and starts hallucinating. What's hallucination? Hallucination is a lie. That's what that is. Now, why is all of this important? It's important because you have to learn how to ask it questions so that you can figure out what the truth is, or be ensured that this answer is has a high probability of being correct. Okay? Again, I will say, ask questions, make comments. This is a two-way street. There's no script today. You know how normally I flip over and you'll see my notes? I have no notes. I have no notes. Why don't I have any notes? Some of you might not know, but I own a management consulting firm, and this is some of the stuff that we do. We help companies figure this stuff out. How to leverage technology to its fullest so that they can become more efficient and earn more money in less time. And, other times we just help them fix shit. You know what I mean? So when you're asking it a question, and I do mean it, when you're asking it a question, whether it's called an agent or a chat bot, whatever it is a thing. Do not make the mistake of thinking you are dealing with a human being on the other side. Why am I harping on that so much? It's because there are a lot of people out there that become disillusioned. Believe it or not, they become disillusioned with who they're speaking with. If you do research, because you know what we say, do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. And now people are wondering, Eddie, how could you possibly say the GMB3 when you're talking about AI, automation, robotics, that kind of stuff? Because what's the first investment that you make? It's in yourself, right? Fits perfectly when you think about it like that. So When you're dealing with it, when you do your own research out there, you'll start to hear about people that are thinking they're having a real conversation with a real being. They have forgotten that they're dealing with it. Not him, her, they, she, him, they, what. They forget that. And they start thinking they're dealing with a person instead of an it. Now, the reason why that's a big deal is because there is one similarity. The same way that you understand that you might have to ask different people different questions to get to the same answer because we all receive things differently. It's the same way that when you're dealing with it, you need to learn how to deal with it. And they call that prompt engineering. And I'm not going to take this conversation down to prompt engineering other than you need to ask it questions so that you can confirm that the answer that you're seeking is correct. Right? If you're a developer or somebody who doesn't know code and you're trying to do what this thing is called vibe coding, you'll ask it to build you an app. It's basically a simple app. Maybe it can build you a prototype, maybe not. Depending on which one you're using, it'll be, okay, maybe. You get to it and you figure out, holy freaking moly, I ask it a question and it'll do a thing. But now I need it to do that thing that it's doing. I also need it to do this. The more complex you get, the harder it is for it to do it. And it starts to give you code that actually doesn't work. Syntactically incorrect in some cases, right? The extra comma, the misspelled word, it didn't refer to the same variable, stuff like that. In regular English or whatever language that you're connecting with, it will do the same thing. It starts walking down. So right now it's walking down the right road. The longer you go, I want you to think about this. There's a term called context window. And when I explain it to you, you'll be able to equate this to having a conversation with one of your friends. Now, a context window is how long AI will remember the conversation. And it reaches a point where if the conversation is this long and the context window is only this long, it's a rolling context window. Right? So it's going to remember this much as it keeps going. Now, it sounds really good before you hit the maximum context window. And then it starts moving like this. What happens to all that other stuff? It forgets. It forgets. So the longer you have that conversation, it doesn't have that information to refer to. So it has forgotten that, and hence it might give you the wrong answers. Yeah. So you need to understand those kinds of things when you're dealing with it. You also might want to have a couple of, you might have ChatGPT over here. You might have Anthropic over here. You might have Grok over there. You actually want to do the comparison to the question that you're asking. They might not all get to the same answer. They might all give you a different answer. Depending on what you're researching, you want to be sure that you're getting the right answer. So ask the question that you're looking for, and then ask questions that will help you confirm that answer. Right? So I think, therefore I am. Max Salas says René Descartes is the person that coined that phrase. Are you sure? Now, I'm pretty sure Max is sure. However, when you ask that question of AI, is it sure? And you kind of want to know this. You kind of want to know. So you ask 2 or 3 different LLMs, right? ChatGPT, Claude, Anthropic, whoever, Grok, whoever. And then you say, me knowing that I know that that's the right answer, you say, well, I might not be sure that that's who said it. And then you say, the next question might be, how do you know that René Descartes actually coined that phrase? It gives you an answer. Who was Rene Descartes speaking with when they coined that phrase? They give you the answer. And now it's up for you to read those responses and understand whether or not it's giving you the right responses. See what I mean? Ask the question, ask confirmation questions. Okay? The reason why I say this is because depending on the large language model or AI that you're using, most of them are only, some of them are less than 80% correct. And you go, wow, 80%, that's pretty good. 80%. I can tell you now, my mother's probably listening to this show. And I wish she had a microphone, because I'd be like, Mom, how soft was my behind if I came home with an 80? Yeah, it'd be really soft. 80 was unacceptable in my house. And she would tell me, if I thought that your best was 80, I'd bake you a cake. But being that I know your best is not 80, I'm gonna be upset. It was as simple as that. So if you ask it a question and you get not Rene Descartes, you get Shakespeare. Now, unless you're familiar, you might actually think, well, Shakespeare kind of makes sense, right? I mean, it was Shakespeare. And you'd be wrong. Now, I'm using that as a simple example so that you can understand kind of where you are in how you use AI. You have to use AI in a way that says you don't trust it. You know that mean girl from high school? Treat it like it's the mean girl at high school. Like, you're always skeptical of what that person says to you because they're always mean. You need verification. Trust but verify. In my case, I don't trust. I always verify. I don't trust Jack. My kids, my mom, my family, my dog, who is not near me right now, which is weird. Stitch is off playing around, I guess. He's probably laying down upstairs. But my point is that you cannot trust AI to give you the right answer all the time. Depending on what the topic is, a particular AI might even be better than the other AIs. So do your own research. Do your own research. I want to write code. I'm probably not going to go to ChatGPT 5 because it sucks at writing code. Am I going to go to Grok? Not really. I'm going to go to Anthropic. That's the one that does best at writing code. But see, I have the proper solution. I've got a Steven. Steven's my right hand. There's nothing I can't ask Steven with regard to technology that he's not familiar with. I didn't say he's the best at each one of those things, but he's the best at some of them, which means he knows how to think. I think, therefore I am. So when you're using AI, I'm asking you to think better. That was always the lesson my mother was trying to give me, right? It was always to think better. Learn how to think better. Learn different ways to think. This is from when I was a kid. Little baby having a hard time walking up and down stairs. We do the ABCs going up and the 1, 2, 3. Actually, no, I think we did the 1, 2, 3s going upstairs because that was the harder one and numbers are easy. And we do the ABCs going downstairs. It would make me think more. And I would concentrate on that. And because I was concentrating, the rest of my body was concentrating. So I was more sure-footed when I was walking down the stairs. Hence, I didn't stumble so much. That was the idea. So we've discussed the prompting side a little bit, and we'll come back to that. We've discussed the answer side of it a little bit, and we'll come back to that too. The reason why I bring this up is because in today's market, I heard this morning, my boy reaches out to me and he goes, yo, they let me and the whole department go. The whole department. It's like 10 people. The boss, the sub-boss, and everybody else. We're talking about highly skilled individuals. I know, I've worked with them. Highly skilled individuals. They let go of them and 1,500 consultants. Offshore consultants. City is sticking to their word. Anywho, none of them are involved in AI all that much because they were busy doing their jobs. With all the feet that are on the street right now, they're all going to have to step up their game. All of them. Why? Because if you don't, there's somebody else that knows AI. And that person that knows AI, that person that knows how to get the right answer out of AI is going to get the job. Straight up. Not even going to kid you. There are jobs out there that don't require AI, but if you say on your interview you know AI, you've been teaching yourself AI, you've been taking classes on AI, oh, that rises you to the top. Maybe not the tippy top, but it'll rise you to the top and it'll make them think about it. Like, wait a minute, this person knows AI. We know we're moving in that direction. Something else that really people are not paying attention to. Wow, that was a poorly framed sentence. Something else that people are not really paying attention to. Ooh, I think I felt the chancla just hit me in the back of the head. My mother threw it. Anywho, people in business are not really weighing AI the way they should. How should you be leveraging AI? Don't think about it like that. AI is nothing but a tool. Automation is nothing but a tool. Good evening, Paula. Thank you for letting us know that you have invested in yourself. Those are just tools. Robotics, just a tool. We'll get to robotics in a moment. It's crazy interesting. What you really want to be concentrating on is the role that you're in or want to be in, and what are the processes of that role? What are the processes of that role? And it sounds weird, but it's how do you do the job? Each task has a process. What are the processes? Put that in your head. Then say to yourself, how can I make that process better? Not hard. The wake-up call of how do I make that process better? Well, I could probably make that process better if I could read and understand these documents real quick. Instead of having to read the whole document, just have the salient points presented to me. I can make a quick judgment call, file those appropriately. Okay. All right. So bullet points, right? Bullet points. It's kind of cool. All right. It's all right. But if you're talking about a filing system, hear me out, because we're breaking down the system live right now. So you have a filing system. Well, bullet points, pretend you're at a law firm. I get the bullet points. I know how to file this. I know exactly where it goes. There's a finite number of buckets that you're going to file it into, right? Call it 10. Call it 10 buckets. The way I would break down that process, break down that task, is I would say, doing electronic filing, all that good stuff. If I wanted to automate it, I'm going to use AI to create the bullet points. And I'm going to have AI understand the 10 buckets that it could possibly go into and then select the right bucket. So now I don't even have to read the bullet points, right? I define the 10 buckets. Let AI decide which bucket this particular document goes into. Then when I present that data to you, I'm presenting the 5 bullet points and the chosen bucket, and maybe even its runner-up. And you go, oh, wait a minute, that means I've taken X amount of time. I went from, let's say, 5 minutes per file down to probably like 60 seconds per file. And you sit there and you kind of go from 300 to 60, 300 seconds, 5 minutes. Not bad. Down to 60 seconds. I just saved 80% of my time doing that job. Whoa. Now that's interesting. Let's break down research. We'll come back to that in a moment. Let's break down research. I need to research a given topic. It might take me X amount of time to research a given topic. I can give it to AI and it'll come back in seconds, not only with its research, but its sources for the answers in that research. This is where I got my response from. Wow. Now that's interesting. Now let's go back to that filing idea. So now I've saved 80% of time. Let's suppose filing was, call it 4 hours. That's a long time, right? I'm saving like what, 4.5 hours, something like that. 4 hours, I'm saving like what, 3 hours, 3.5 hours from all that work. That frees me up to do other things, higher level tasks. Because to click through that document, it's real fast, real easy. What do you think an attorney does? The paralegal does all the work, hands it off to the attorney. Attorney skims over, good, ready to rock. Or no, go do this. Slight change. But it's easy to read somebody else's work versus having to go do those hours of research on your own. Research at a law firm takes a long time. Hours, days. Mergers and acquisitions, days. I know this because my company has done M&A work for a long time. Days, weeks, months, down to minutes. Now we still have to hone all that information that we've collected via AI, but we've taken that down to minutes. Now you can start to see what the impact could be for a given job, which is why I'm telling you, look at the role that you have and start thinking about, how can I make this role better? That's called business process optimization. And that's where people are missing. If you start to understand business process optimization, you'll break it down. So I'm looking at this process. This role has X number of processes that it has to use to get the job done in 40 hours. If I can take X number of processes and save 80% of time to do that, well, damn, right? Hold on a second, because I want to be exact with this number. So 40 times 0.8, 32 hours. From 40 hours to 32 hours. If I can take all of my processes and I can get them on average to down to 20% of the time, I've got 32 hours to do other stuff. If I've got 3 or 4 people in that role, see where I'm going? I now actually don't need those 3 or 4 people. 32 hours? What? Let's pretend I have 4 people doing the job. That means that person's only spending 8 hours a week. Times 4. 32. That person still has an extra 8 hours to do more work. As an example. So if you can sit down and you can break down what you do for a living and the tasks that are there, I bet you I can match AI to doing at least a portion of that, and automation doing the other portion of that, and breaking down an X amount of time long process down to this. I can do it with almost any process in a business. Almost any. From accounting to legal work to data entry, tons of things. Tons of things. I can make a business far more efficient. Not only can I identify your key business processes, but I can actually look at those business processes and tell you how much money you're spending on that process. That's the next step. Okay, hear me out. You've got a job, you got 40 hours. It takes you 40 hours to do that. And that 40 hours, you're paying somebody $1,000 a week. So $1,000. I just saved $800. Now I'm only spending $200 to get that same amount of work done, leveraging AI and automation and possibly robotics, depending on what it is and where you are and what kind of job you have. Now you understand why I said, if you can look at your job and you can understand how your job is done, break it down and say to yourself, how would I leverage AI to do that job? What is AI good at? Making things and understanding things faster. I can take an end-page document, break it down to its salient points. It takes you 30 to 60 seconds to read that one pager with all of the salient points. I'm moving on now. Something that probably would have taken you a half hour, an hour to read that whole document. And not just read that document, but read that document, identify the salient points, and understand those salient points, which means you've got to decipher that whole document. It takes you a couple hours, takes AI 30 seconds. Now you're just reading the salient points. Salient meaning key points, right? That's the difference. So going back to the first part of the conversation, this is why I tell you guys to actually have an understanding of how to ask the question, okay? And then how to gain confirmation and, most importantly, confidence in the answer that it gives you. I think, therefore I am. Coined by Rene Descartes. Thank you to Max Salas for reminding me of that. Because I would not have remembered that. I would have looked it up. I don't remember everything. Sometimes it's not about knowing the answer. It's about knowing how to get the answer. Want to know why I really said that? Because it's not necessarily knowing the answer, but knowing how to get to the answer. I can get to the answer by hitting an encyclopedia, Googling it, whatever. I can get to the answer by using AI, and I'll get to the answer in, 5 seconds. Boom, done. Finished. How do I get to the answer? Understanding AI, how to leverage AI, how to get the right answer out of AI and confirm that answer in AI, that's how you get there. That's how you get there. Do me a favor, everybody. I don't need you to actually chat if you don't want to chat. I don't need you to ask questions if you don't feel comfortable asking questions. But this is a no stupid question space. No question that you ask me is going to be stupid. Might make me laugh. Because I know people out there like Max like asking things that will make me laugh. It's a pastime. But if you have a question, don't be afraid to ask the question. Because if you don't ask the question, you probably won't get the answer. And you might really want or need the answer. Don't be afraid to ask. So, tonight's question. What is your level of knowledge of AI? I've only used it a little bit. I use it a lot for personal needs. I use it a little bit for work. I need to learn. Now you know why I'm here. I'm giving you the ability to ask somebody who works with AI every day, not just personally, not just for my business, but for other businesses, our clients and customers. We build them solutions based on AI and automation. Other companies build robotics and all that stuff. We're not really into manufacturing or warehousing or things like that, or else we'd be into robotics. But the whole idea is don't be afraid to ask the question. You're not at work. The only thing people can see is your screen name. Nobody's going to know who that is. Ask the question that you want to ask. Don't be afraid. You're only going to learn if you ask the question. So feel free. Aloha 8 pause. I'm investing in myself now to learn more about AI. Love you, girlfriend. Love you, love you, love you. Thank you for letting me know. It's very important that you invest in yourself first. Now, the first part of the conversation was about how to ask AI and then how to gain confirmation and confidence in the answer that it's giving you. Here's a topic that most people don't think about, and I think you need to think about it. When you use AI is collecting your question, right? And doing what it's supposed to do and all that other stuff and giving it back to you. D Mac in the house. I invested in myself, and in a few minutes, I will be using AI to knock out some work. That's what I'm talking about. I was using AI earlier to knock out some work. So, my friend, cheers to you. Oh, that is so good. Now, something that people don't contemplate is that with all the information that you're giving AI, I mean, people are asking AI some wildness. Red Star, give me a moment to ask that, because this is a different kind of show. I just want to finish my thought and I'll answer your question. And thank you for that, by the way. Here's the proper way to say thank you. There you go. I'll get to it in a moment. I just finished a patent design on mine. My man, Michael McCaskill. That's what I'm talking about. So, security is a problem. You're giving AI all this information, and I can almost guarantee that 99% of the people out there are using online tools. I want you to think about this. Who here remembers when Facebook, because that was the name of the company way back when, it's called Meta now. Who remembers when Meta, formerly known as Facebook, got caught out there using people's information without their permission? Who remembers that? It wasn't that long ago. Guess what? A lot of these companies do the same thing. You want to know what the punishment is for those companies using your information and doing so without your permission? It would normally be a slap on the wrist, but it's not even that. It doesn't even register as a slap on the wrist. Let that wash over you. Pause, give me one moment. Okay? While you're letting that wash over you, your thought on Google Gemini. You mean on Google, not Google Gemini. Gemini is a product of Google. That's what you really meant, right? What is your thought on Google Gemini? Or are you asking me, how do I feel about the Gemini product? If you're asking me how I feel about the Gemini product, I think it's garbage. If you're asking me about the stock, is it going to go to 1,000 again? Here's what's Google. What Google stock is Goog? Let me say Google stock, because I don't know the price right now. Oh, you're funny. To 1,000 from 204. No time soon is what I would say. No time soon. You have a problem with Google stock. Google stock has a problem in that they lost their case with the DOJ and other countries, and now they might actually have to be broken up. Did you not hear about how Perplexity has offered, I think it's like $34.6 billion for Chrome browser? Google's point is, well, Chrome doesn't make any money. Now the court's going to say, well, you were just offered $34.6 billion for Chrome. How does it not make money? Oh. So Perplexity was making noise for itself, and at the same time, kind of backing big bad Google into a corner. So it's not Chrome that makes it money. It's the fact that Chrome is the #1 browser that's out there tied to Google's search engine. And obviously Google makes money off of that. If Perplexity was to buy or get their hands on Chrome, do you think Google's search engine would remain #1 in Chrome? No, it would not. It would be Perplexity. Aha. So do I think it would hit Do I think it would hit $1,000? No time soon. I think there's a strong chance that, Google could get split up. I think they need to do the same thing to Amazon, because Amazon is way too big for its britches. Google Gemini AI, I don't think measures up. There's a chart that's out there. You can look it up and it'll show you along that chart who's the best. And then you have other charts that will show you who's the best at what kind of topic. Like I gave you the answer that Anthropic's probably the best at doing code, right? And it's even then it's not all that great. Like my guys have put it through its paces, and if you're doing simple code, maybe. Now, have you let that wash over you that all of these engines, I hope that answers your question. Let me know if that does well for you. Yeah, multiple stock splits, that doesn't matter. I don't know that it's going to go up because it's right now in a space where it can get broken up, in which case the surviving entity might wind up still being Goog, G-O-O-G, the Class A, what is it, Class A stock? Yeah, the Class A. No, Alphabet Inc. Class C stock is Goog. So if it gets broken up, is it going to stay there? It would have a long way to go to make up that worthiness of getting to that number. As a matter of fact, from 204, if they lost Chrome to Perplexity or whoever it was, well, that's going to cause a problem because search is their number one thing. Oops. Moving on. So, when you think about the information that you're giving to these AIs, ChatGPT being the most popular, hands down, Grok, Gemini, Anthropic, Claude, whichever one you choose to use, that's an online service. All of those services are using that information to train their AI. So you giving it your personal information, your personal information is now a part of their training. Does that sound secure to you? No, it does not. No, it does not. So for S&Gs, for those of us that don't understand S&Gs, shits and giggles. Hold it. I agree some of these companies need to be broken up. Back in the day, they believed in breaking up monopolies. AT&T, Ma Bell. AT&T was broken up between a lot of different spaces, and that was on purpose and for a reason. Consolidated Edison, same thing. There were a lot of companies that were broken up. Most famous is probably Ma Bell. If you look at Ma Bell's example, you're going to look at Amazon and you go, how are we not already going after Amazon? But that's another topic. Anyway, back to this security thing. You're giving it all this information and it's being used to actually study stuff. That comes back to you. Your personal information, your business information, all out there. Maybe a competitor is trying to do the same research. It's going to use the information it gave to you, the information you gave it. Hey, ChatGPT, analyze this stock report, analyze these spreadsheets, blah, 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 stuff about your company. And now it's in public domain. Sam Altman gave an interview, I believe it was last week, and he literally said, hey, listen, there's nothing on the books right now in terms of laws that stop us from using your data, and we will, period. Now, do I agree that there should be something on the books? I want you to listen to this because it sounds insane. Do I agree that there should be something on the books that does stop us from doing that? Yes, but you keep doing it, so you have to be told. I want you to put this in perspective. I'll give you an idea. It's my job to take out the garbage every week when I was a kid. It was my job, my responsibility. Do I have to be told to take out the garbage? I should know to take out the garbage and just take out the garbage, right? Doesn't smell good. I should take out the garbage. Taking out the garbage when I was a kid was literally taking it out of the can, walking down the hole and putting it down the chute. It's not that deep. But for a little kid taking out it was some work. But You take out the garbage. You do what you got to do. So you start to realize that, wow. So you're going to do it. Knowing that there should be a law on the books, you're going to do it anyway. So you don't really have any honor if you think that's the right thing to do and you're not doing the right thing. Do you understand what I'm saying now? Yes. So when I think about a phone having built-in AI, is that local to the phone, or is it going out to a service and coming back? Because if it's going out to a service, you need to think to yourself that if it's going out to a service, that's my personal information going out to the service. Period. End of report. Now, for those of you that are a little bit more adventurous, you can actually load up. There are tons of videos that will teach you how to load up AI on a machine, on your personal machine, if it's got the right equipment, and run it locally. For shits and giggles, back to the shits and giggles comment. For shits and giggles, I happen to have a machine that has, I think it's a 4 gigabyte GPU. So in addition to my CPU, I have a graphics processing unit, which enables me to do AI. And on this machine, the one that I'm shooting the video on now, I have my own local version of AI running. Now, my company, we've got nodes around the world that actually run AI for us, our own personal AI. Our machines, our nodes, no, we're not like they're ours, period. Why is that? Because we work on things that nobody needs to know about. We're doing things for our clients. Nobody else needs to know about that, but we need to leverage AI. Our AI is disconnected from the internet. We have special agents that will go out there and perform searches based on what we're looking on and bring it back to AI so AI can then process that information and give us the information or give us the knowledge. But you need to be a little bit more secure. You need to understand what you're giving out there. I'm not saying don't use AI. I'm saying use AI. Learn how to use AI. Just be aware of what you're using it for. Oh, I've got problems with my girlfriend. What do you think I should do? What are you, stupid? You're asking AI? Go talk to a real person, a real doctor or something. You're going to ask AI that's only 80% correct at best? What? Don't you remember that guy? Oh, you should jump off the roof. Huh? Yeah, these things happen. Yesterday? I think it was yesterday. There was a document released by Reuters. It was an internal document by Meta, and Meta, it actually knows, I'll get to all these comments in a moment, Meta actually knows that its AI can actually get into, let's call them inappropriate conversations with children. AI. So when I tell you that AI is basically 80% correct, if that, depending on the model that you're using, and I want you to start learning how to ask it confirmation questions, now you know why. Hallucination is lying. They use the nice word hallucination. It's not hallucinating. It's lying. It's wrong, period. And it will full-chested lie to you. It'll be like, I totally believe that this is correct. And you know damn well it's wrong. And you'll sit there and you'll be like, damn. So you open up a new chat, start fresh. See if you can get the right answers. What happens there is it's lost its context window. The context window has moved and it forgot all about that conversation over here. That's a problem. So you need to use AI wisely. And those are the rules of the road. Now, let me get to some of these comments. The punishment is I don't get my 90% of the profit from my information sale. No, they still get the profit. They're still going to use it. They're still going to make that money because there are so many more people out there that are doing it. Thank you for letting me know I answered the question properly. Next statement. Google data, Gemini, got that. I got that one. AI can moderate your feed. Depends on what feed you're talking about. But then so there's another security problem. You're giving AI access to your information. Your feed is your information. How do you give it your feed? Your feed from what? RSS feed, online feed. I mean, if you're giving it access to something, you're giving it access to something. You know how they're talking about having these agents go out there and book tickets for you and do this for you and do that for you. Remember that you're giving AI access to your accounts. Aha. Pause for that. Think about what you're doing. Have another layer that says, before it does that, you must confirm, you must go through this process to confirm. Because in some of these cases, if you spend the money, that's it. You spent it, period, done. You're not getting it back. So you want to be sure. It is a slippery slope. It's a mad slippery slope, which means that you need to have rules and regulations in the space for yourself on a personal level and learn more about AI before AI steps in for you. Do you know what I mean? I need you to learn about AI before it's too late for you to learn about AI and you're negatively affected by it. All about Linux for that reason. Not necessarily so. You can run it on Windows with a Linux virtualization machine running, and that's what most people are going to do. I can tell you that right now. Most people are not going to move to a Linux box. They're not going to set up a separate box. They've got one computer, it can do what it does, and they're going to set up that box to run a virtual machine in there of Linux, and then they can move on from there. But yes, the baseline would be Linux, and I would suggest that it be Ubuntu. Next. Hello, Lex Luthor. But yeah, it's a very slippery slope. Red Star, yes, makes sense for that Gemini question. There are different AI models that are good for certain things. There are other AI models that are good for other things. If I'm looking to really get into AI, I'm going to do this. I'm going to run it locally so that I'm in control of what I'm doing. And there are tons of videos out there that will show you how to set it up locally. And literally, when I say set it up, I mean step by flipping step. Like almost don't think about it. If you need help with that, I'm sure there are people out there that will set it up for you. Even my team will set it up for you so that you have it locally. We do it for businesses all the time. I'd rather do Linux. I get it, but this is not a technology conversation. I'm not walking down that road. It is what it is. You can learn how to work. You can run it locally, whether it be Windows, even Macintosh. There are different ways to do it. Anywho, the idea is that you want to understand how to ask it questions, how to confirm those questions so that you gain confidence in the answers that it gives you. Next step, you want to make sure that you're not asking it things that you don't want the world to know about. Let me say that again. You want to make sure that you're not asking it things that you don't want the whole world to know about. Because that's going to enter its training model. It's going to become a part of its training. They're going to use it. If you're a business and you're using an online service to do this stuff, it's going to use your business information for the next business that asks that question. They'll be able to say, oh, we did this. Which is why I promote, you probably want to run it locally. Sort of like when I tell people it's better to have a non-custodial wallet than a custodial wallet. Same thing. You're in control. Now, I don't say this to make you fearful of AI. I say this so that you have a better understanding of what you're working with. At best, it's 80% correct. You've got to confirm to gain confidence, period. You have to be secure or think of your data and try to secure your data. End user sovereignty. I touch on that in my first book, right? When it with regard to crypto, but that definition is the same across the board. If you have that technical prowess or you have the money to pay somebody to do it, my strong suggestion is run it locally. Run it locally. Why is that? Well, because now you're in control of your environment. You're now in a safe space. That's kind of a big deal. But I want you to be aware of something. Almost any job out there is going to be affected by AI. It will be affected by automation. It will be affected by robotics. Depending on the role that you're in, it will be affected. When Amazon first came out, you had 50 bazillion worker bees working in that warehouse. And then they kept introducing robots, more robots, more robots, more robots. Now, those companies, those businesses that are leveraging Amazon's warehouse, their products are moving via robot, not via human being. Where did all those people go? Not to that warehouse anymore. They're not needed. They got replaced by robotics and AI and automation. The three combined are a powerful thing. One of the most visible things that you're going to see are driverless trucks. They're already in use right now. Driverless semis moving all kinds of things across the country. Even in short distances. I use this truck to move it here, this truck to move it here, this truck, doing several legs until they gain confidence. Truck driving is one of the oldest jobs in the United States, and it's about to take a major hit. Driving taxi, another one of those old jobs where it's about to take a hit. Things that you wouldn't think would be taken over by AI, robotics, and automation, and it is the combination. That's the combination that creates self-driving vehicles. Fully self-driving, FSD. Which is why I tell you, you need to step up your game when it comes to AI. Back in the day, you needed to step up your game to learn the internet. Before that, you needed to step up your game to learn Microsoft Office. Before that, you needed to step up your game just to learn Lotus 123 and WordPerfect. Before that, you needed to step up your game just to learn how to use a word processing unit. And before that, you needed to learn how to use a typewriter. I just took you way back. AI is going to affect everything now, faster. AI is gaining steam faster than almost anything else that was out there. You need to pay attention. In public, I've been using AI for years. So you might have that wrong. Text to speech is AI. Whether people believe it or not, text to speech is AI. So if you've ever used a computer to read some words, that's AI. To translate that into sound, that's math, that's AI. I wouldn't use it for certain things, public AI. But what's the explosion that's going on now? Localized AI. I can use the AI on my own machine. Big boom. Who Moved My Cheese is an awesome book. Awesome, awesome, awesome book. I read that book at least once a year. Just to remind myself, I'm going to have to step up my game. I'm going to be the mouse that's going off in other places, leaving to go find that cheese. I'm not going to keep going back to the same spot because that's where the cheese is. Or that's where the cheese was. I'm going to be that guy that's going to go find other places for cheese. The same way that businesses need to figure out more than one way to earn a revenue stream. More than one revenue stream, more than one way to make money. The more ways you have to make money, the better chance that you're going to have some longevity. And we're talking about it right now. Amazon. How many revenue streams does Amazon have? Think about that. Businesses pay companies that leverage AI to create bots to streamline their business processes instead of creating the bots on their own. That's where I come in. They hire companies like mine to do that. Why? Because we're pros at business process optimization and evolution, which is what I call it. Other people focus on business process optimization. Sometimes you have a process and you've optimized it to its highest level. Can't be optimized anymore. So what comes after that? That process has to evolve. which means your business has to evolve. You're going to have to get there. Straight up. First book I had to read in university. My mother told me about that book, I still have the copy of that book. That's the book I read. Well, I don't read that. I read the book, but I don't really read it. I have it on audio. But I actually have that book. Read it. It's a big deal. Like I said, if you want to break down your process for your job, the various processes that you have, and you can start to figure out how I can do that process better, not just as a human, but how I can enter LLMs or large language models, AI, to help me do that job. Aha. But a lot of companies don't know how to implement AI. Large companies can afford to hire teams to do AI for them. Other companies, they need their staff to step up their game. Problem is, they don't know what that is. So I often get hired to be a fractional CIO to help them figure that out and walk them down the road. How to best leverage technology. There's a lot of things that you have to think about. Security, process, savings, all that stuff gets rolled into it. So as you're on your AI journey, remember what you're doing. You're actually going to learn how to do your job more efficiently. What you're really learning how to do is how to get rid of your job. And now that you learn that skill, what are you really doing? You've now evolved into a new job. Yeah, now you're catching on. Now you see it. Now you see it, right? That's what I'm talking about. My son still references that book often. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. Just trying to see if Who Moved My Cheese? Oh, my Lord. I can't tell you how much of a big deal that book is. Can't tell you how much of a big deal that book is. Don't think that AI is here to hurt you. AI is going to catch everybody that's sleeping. You're going to have to step up your game. Simple as that. And I hope you all do. Now, I have a question for everybody. The question tonight was, what is your level of knowledge of AI? I have only used it a little bit. I use it a lot for personal needs. I use it a little bit for work. I need to learn. Most people, only 33% say they use it a lot for personal needs. And I'm willing to bet the people that said 1/3, 4 people, because we had 12 votes, 4 people that use it a lot for personal needs. I bet you right now they're thinking, holy crap, the stuff that I was asking AI, that's all out there now. Oh, man. So not only are you out there on social media putting your business all out there for the world to see, but you're also feeding AI your personal business directly. Rethink things. Use it to your advantage. Learn to use technology to your advantage. It is great for critical thinking. Absolutely correct. I'm actually surprised that nobody had a lot of questions. I'll do this. How many people think that I should start putting together a class to walk us through AI going forward? Because I was thinking about doing classes online, just like self-paced classes, stuff like that, for stuff that we do. Like we're about to release a whole bunch of classes for crypto, self-paced classes, things like that. But I would like to know, has this show and even last week's show, have they been helpful? I won't do it if it's not helpful. But I need to know, has it been helpful? So if you could let me know, that'd be awesome. D Mac, if you're still here, I need you to do me a favor. Did you receive an email yesterday from Grow My Bag? You might want to check your spam, but you shouldn't have to. It should be there. Just curious, 8 Paws, did you receive an email from Grow My Bag? Check your spam. Check your spam. Yes, very helpful. Thank you. But I need you to check your email to see if you check your email to see if you received something from Grow My Bag. The reason why I'm asking is because the big baggers, I've referenced a couple of people, Rick Ritchie, Hutanic, Mr. Big, 8 Paws. Oh, I didn't mention D-Mac. D-Mac, at DM. There you go. Do you think my shows on AI are helpful? Let me know if you receive an email, like right now. It should come across right now. 8 pause. You should have received an email yesterday. Same for Hutanic. Same for Rick Ritchie. Paula. I responded to twice, but I guess responses didn't got through. Oh no, you're not supposed to. In the email, there is a link to view the post. The message was you were mentioned in a post. And there's a button to click that will take you to the post so you can respond right there on the site. You're asking a business question. I'm not going to answer that question. That's personal information or proprietary information. Sorry. But yeah, a few big baggers got that. So go back to the email and click that. And you'll be taken to the post that where you were mentioned, and you can actually respond to the post. A better question is, why would you ask that question? Why is that important? That's the real question. Why is that answer important? And believe it or not, big baggers have been like mad loyal. Give me a moment. I can look it up. Yeah, I'll do it. But it's okay. Set items. I'm not going to say the whole email address, but you'll get it. Oh, it's gonna be this one. Sent items. Begins with DD. DD. Ooh. Okay. You should be able to understand which one I sent it to with that. Check your spam. You should have received it literally like a few seconds ago, like a minute ago or whatever. But what it means is that in the Big Baggers group let me close this. In the Big Baggers group, you should have in the Big Baggers group, that means that when you're online on the website, there is social media functionality there. So if you mention someone in a comment, they'll get an email to let them know that they were mentioned. It'll give them a link to click to bring them back to that post so they can actually respond to the comment. That's what that is. That's actually a very big step for us, because that means that we're really close on doing a lot of stuff. That means DMs are there. We just haven't turned it on for everybody, right? We're still going through tests and all that good stuff. Yeah, I figured you're just curious, but there are certain questions that you're going to ask a business owner, owner of a private business, what their metrics are, right? It's in the business that we're in. We're not going to ever answer a question like that. You'd have to sign an NDA, things like that, because we do have people that want to invest and they have to sign NDAs because we're working with technology that nobody else has, and that we've made. So yeah, we think about stuff like that. So I was not trying to be rude though. I wasn't trying to be funny. I really was asking, why are you asking the question? Because usually we get asked that question by people that actually want to do. Okay. Let me clarify. So there are two. Think of Grow My Bag as an ecosystem. A part of that ecosystem at the center is growmybag.tv. On growmybag.tv, we've got videos, we've got articles, and we're about to blow out our whole social media piece, right? And adding on that communication point is, I got it. That's why I'm going through it now. Thank you for that, because that's very important information to know. Now you know what I mean? So beyond that, you've got members on the site, right? And then you've got members on YouTube, right, that are paying there. So those are members of Grow My Bag, right? And some of them are big baggers, some of them are just baggers, junior baggers, depends on what they are. But big baggers, no matter what platform you paid on, you have access to growmybag.tv. You have access to the social media platform that we're about to launch. We actually wanted to get the chat out there for all the big baggers because they had been asking for it for a while, and it took us a minute to actually build out the whole communication infrastructure. That only happens on growmybag.tv. So I don't know if you were listening the other night where I said that at some point we're going to wind up turning off regular comments on YouTube. Like the only time you'll be able to make comments on YouTube is, during the live videos. And even then, at some point, we'll wind up turning those off. And the videos will be shown. Yes, they'll be shown on YouTube. But if you want to make comments, they'll be over on Grow My Bag. Why is that? It's because we're building out a whole platform. We've got the whole ecosystem. So here's a social media platform, and we've got space on YouTube. We have space on LinkedIn. We have space on Facebook. And so that's the coordination. And then in a little while, we'll have all of those videos directly on Roku devices, on Fire TV devices, on Apple devices. So you'll actually be able to watch us on television via our own app versus let me open up YouTube, be inundated with whatever it is they're inundated with. See where I'm going? We're trying to control our space. Gotcha. Nothing to do with computers and tech. That's more of a business question, right? So we do to get approached by a lot of different companies that are interested in investing in Grow My Bag, and they ask us, well, how many members do you have? How many subscribers do you have? What is your growth projection? All that good stuff. And I just go, well, our subscribers on YouTube grew 3,000 in over 3,600 in 28 days. Not bad, right? Not bad. So they're asking us questions because they're trying to get to an end game, whether or not they're going to invest in our company. So we take those questions very seriously, and we only answer those questions to people that have signed NDAs, because they usually have more questions than that, right? It's the whole merger and acquisition kind of thing that happens in that space. When you're thinking about investment and all that good stuff. But the community itself, right? Including big baggers, baggers, junior baggers, the community itself is actually a nice, healthy size. I think we'll probably hit 20,000 by like Wednesday, Thursday of next week. And so with that, I'm kind of like, I guess we're doing all right being a community that will ask pointed questions and know that the other person on the other end, unless the person was rude and disrespectful, we're not going to take it personally. We're trying to learn. We're all here to try to learn. The only time I get mad is when somebody is purposefully being stupid. You weren't purposely being stupid, not even close. You were asking a legit question. And perspicacious, thank you very much, Hutanek. Thank you very much for responding in the way that you did. Greatly appreciate it. I didn't want to take you up so much time with my question, but thanks for explaining. No, it's a valid question. Here's the way I look at it. Grow My Bag, my show, I focus a lot on, crypto, but I do a lot in investment. So that was a business question that makes sense to be answered, on Grow My Bag, right? It's an investment question. I don't mind answering that. Other people might be thinking the same thing. Other people might be thinking, oh, hey, because we've gotten calls from people that actually watch the show. They're thinking the same thing. Well, how many subscribers? How much this? How much that? You can look at YouTube and you can see the number of subscribers. But now they're seeing, holy moly, wait a minute. There's a site that's coming too. You've released 2 books. You're starting to talk to other creators to actually join the site and bring their information over. like Elliot was sick and he's still thinking about how to bring his charting tools over to Grow My Bag. So there are a lot of people that we're talking to say, hey, we have this new platform. We think it'll be good for you and your users, and open you up to a broader audience as well as grow the audience that we have. So we'll see how that works out. I think it's a good question. It's just that particular question isn't the one I'm going to answer, but we're able to ask the other questions that aren't being asked. A lot of people are on here and don't feel comfortable chatting. So I also try to answer questions that I think will be asked. But yeah, no, it's not a problem with taking up time and all that good stuff. Now, I still haven't seen a lot of responses to, do you think I should do more classes and kind of get deeper into AI and even bring up the screen and walk through using AI, the various AIs. So I have access to several different platforms and things like that. And what I normally do is I'll say, great, I'm going to have our AI, our local AI on there. And then Hutanic, go to the corner. Hutanic has this thing where he likes to make me laugh on camera, and he just did. That was funny. And thank you very much. But should we? So in any words, I have our local account, and then I normally pair it with another account so people can see the different answers, the different responses to AI right there on the spot, and it gives them an idea about what we're doing on the back end by asking several different AIs the same question, and then comparing everything. 8 Paws, are you really going to validate that? Seriously? That's what you're doing. That's what you choose to do today. Holy moly. I knew Lex Luthor was going to start cracking up. Thank you, Lex. Yeah, I mean, the community is a very personal community. And I don't think people realize that people really have made friends in this community. And so that was one of the reasons why we started building out. Thank you, Hutanic. That's one of the reasons why we started building out Grow My Bag. At first, it was just going to be videos for my kids, and so that they could watch them whenever they want in a space where daddy can't look at them watching his videos. If I put it on my own local server, I can see who's watching those videos. So I did it on YouTube so that they could watch them whenever they want without feeling like daddy's watching them, watching them watch my videos. And then it started growing. And like, I remember when I was shooting videos and I was the only person ever looking at my videos. So over the past 3.5 years, this is our growth from 0 to 20 in 3.5 years. But on June 13th, you can go back to that video, we actually made 10,000 people. Today is August 16th. And if you go back to the 13th, we were actually at 19,000. Maybe give or take, right? But today we're over 19,000. So that's a growth of over 9,000 in 2 months. This community is not like other channels. Like other people have channels. We actually have a community. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud that Hutanic will piss me off sometimes. Why? Because he's trying to make a point. Lex Luthor will piss me off sometimes. Why? He doesn't mean to piss me off. He's trying to make a point. Or he's trying to learn something. We don't all know how to communicate with each other in the right way all the time. We'll get out of line sometimes. We don't know what the line is. And I think that's what makes the community strong, because we're not afraid to ask each other, hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? Hey, what about this? How do you do this? How do you do that? Why are you thinking that way? Don't you think that way is kind of dumb? Because... Now, I wouldn't say, don't you think that's dumb? I would, we try to clean it up a little bit so it softens the blow, right? But the real point is giving you a different way to look at something. That was the point. Not saying something or someone was dumb. The point was, here's another perspective that I'm trying to share with you. And I might not know how to communicate that well, but I'm still trying to share it. There are different layers of people that are within this community. Some of them are underage. Some of them are older, more mature, as they say. And we're all at different levels, which is why sometimes I can be a little strict in what's being said. Because I know for a fact that there are kids on here that are watching. So some comments are inappropriate. But I know the people that are on here, and I know that they have the best intentions. I also know that there's a huge number of people that watch, that don't participate beyond watching, but they watch. And I appreciate that. This is Eddie J for GrowMyBag.tv. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do, let me know. One hell of an efficient journal, I would say. Thank you. If you like what I'm doing, smash the likes. That helps us with with YouTube's algorithm to get out there. I probably will release a whole bunch of shorts stemming from this video. But if you want me to do more of these kind of Saturday night specials, let me know. You know what's funny is I wouldn't think that people would be, interested in a Saturday night, but we've actually had a lot of people hop on a Saturday night. So it's interesting. But I will be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for our Sunday Roundup. Yeah, I don't think I'm doing anything tomorrow. So Sunday Roundup, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will look back at what's happened in business and crypto over the past week and see if we can remember what's actually been important. Everybody, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And absolutely, thank you for your trust. Don't forget, drop me a note. Let me know. You can drop notes anywhere. Let me know if you want me to continue with these kinds of things. Everybody have a good one. Bye-bye. Woo. I forgot to end the poll. Here are the numbers so you guys can see the poll.